That's Yaz, that's Dom, and they are the leads in Rye Lane, which is the most brilliant and long time coming British independent rom com. It's been directed by Raine Allen-Miller. It's her first feature film, and she's awesome. I'm so excited to see what she does next. And we were thrilled to have her on the podcast to talk about all things Rye Lane. So if you haven't seen the film yet, get yourself out and see it because it's brilliant. It's kind of modern day rom com, really, like nothing else you've seen. Music is a big part of it. Sign your name across my heart. For anybody who's seen it, you'll know the reference to that. But I was really, really chuffed that we were able to celebrate Rain on the podcast. So here she is in all her glory, talking about the fabulous Riley. Hey, Rain, how are you?
Hey, I'm good, thanks. How are you doing?
I'm so excited to talk to you about your brilliant film. Congratulations.
Oh, thank you.
I really, really loved it. It was absolutely wonderful. Before we kind of dive into talking about music, which is such a big part of the film, um, can we talk a little bit about how the project came to you and what it was about it that was inspired you to want to be part of this and direct it and your kind of vision for it as well? A lot of questions there
Well,
in one, sorry.
no, that's fine. No, it basically I got sent the script and I was sort of reluctant initially because I write as well, and I was kind of like, I don't know if I want my first film to be a film that I haven't written, but I was on the Eurostar and I just laughed out loud, like to the point where it was kind of embarrassing. um, and it was just like, okay, this is funny. And also what I loved about it was it's just really simple. It's a simple story really about two people that wander around and get to know each other and have a nice day. And I think there's something really powerful and exciting about making a film that is as simple as that.
Yeah.
And so that was appealing to me. It was initially set in Camden, and the writers, I'd met them and they were so collaborative and really keen to sort of hear what my take would be. And it felt like there was space to kind of make it my own. And I set it in Camden. We developed the characters more together. It really was a great opportunity to sort of add my world building and sort of
Yeah.
character development and the sort of South London-ness of it. It was like the perfect canvas for that, really.
Yeah. And I imagine a change in title as well then because of that.
Yeah, 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 absolutely. Yeah, yeah,
What I mean, that's a really interesting thing as well because I lived up the road from Camden and Kentish Town for years, so I kind of and my kind of sort of late 20s, early 30s were around that whole kind of Camden music scene and stuff, and
yeah,
so there's a real. I mean, it's not a specific genre around there, but Camden has an association with specific kind of types of music, I think, and
yeah,
Brixton has that as well, in terms of like is a beautiful collection of inspiration musically and stuff, but it also really has a real core of that music scene that comes out of Brixton and how it's that real influence from lots of cultures, but there's a real heart to it as well.
yeah.
How much music was written into the original script, and was it for you, was it really important to as well as kind of logistically shift that story but musically shift it as well?
Yeah, no, it's interesting you say that actually. You're the only person I've not said I love Camden because it's where I bought my first Sonic Youth t-shirt. I meant to kind of add that. But that's the role, like that's my Camden like studded belt and Sonic Youth t-shirt. Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, so actually the I guess like the written music in the script initially were basically the American, so like Tribe and Salt and Pepper.
Pepper.
Like those
Yeah.
two tracks were written for me. Like everything else in the film needed to feel really London, and that was partly why I wanted to work with Kwes because I've known his music for a really long time. I've loved him as a person. I love his music. I love the sound.
Mm,
Like his sound is just so London to me.
yeah.
Um, and what I really, really wanted the film to feel British.
Yeah.
Um, because so many films that inspire me, like directors like Martin Scorsese or Spike Lee, you know, they really capture their life and their world, and that's also the music. And so
Hmm.
it felt like this film needed to almost do the same thing. So although we've got like amazing classics from Tribe and Salt and Pepper, I really wanted to, you know, sprinkle the film with like a lot of London sound.
Yeah, and I guess that relationship with Kwes as well, working with him, you know, his work as an artist, but also as a producer is kind of so
Yeah.
extraordinary when you think of the, you know, the diversity of people that he's worked with, Solange, Kano, Bobby Womack, and everybody in between all that as well. And Danae Moore, of course, who, you know, you've worked with. So is that kind of where that relationship started?
Oh, you've done your research. I love that. I love that
Oh,
video. I love Danae as well.
beautiful.
Yeah, I mean, I knew Kwes just through being from London and sort of, you know, going to gigs and kind of like just I used to we did a club night actually. My friends Hannah TW, Dean, and Zazie and I did this club night called Local in Brixton, and we made it because we were like, we're so sick of going to East London. We want to
Yeah.
go out in South London, so we did this night. And it meant that we met, you know, I kind of Dean and Hannah worked at Ninja Tune, and kind of through that, I think I met Kwes. I can't quite remember how, but yeah, we met, we kind of, yeah, we just know each other. I know his brother went out with my friend, you know,
Family.
that kind of lovely, like weird
Yeah.
London connection thing.
Yeah, for
Uh,
it being one of the biggest cities in the world, there's an amazing intimacy to like people
yeah,
and connections and all that kind of thing. Totally.
yeah, definitely. It's great.
Uh, What because the music's brilliant and I love the way that you use it in the film as well. You know, it's kind of it's got a real it drives at places, it kind of soothes it. It's got so many purposes really throughout the film. And I was just really interested with what, you know, when you first talked to Quez about what the score side of things would be, what you wanted and how you described it, and kind of, you know, you talk about being the sound of London, but it's kind of it's got to have melody and kind of, you know, and instrumentation in it as well. So I was wondering if you were kind of had ideas about what you wanted on that
Yeah, I
side of
mean,
things.
interestingly, a lot of our temp score, which obviously is the score that, you know, when you're editing, you put it in temporarily.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm just assuming people might not know, but was Quez, you know, I'd
Mm-hmm.
made this playlist which had I'd say like 70% Quez's music in it when before I even shot the film, because I had such a clear idea of like how I wanted it to sound. And I think
Amazing.
that you know, talking, I'd kind of discussed this with Quez beforehand, but for me, you know, as a director, you surround yourself with people that are really good at a very specific thing, and they're way better at that thing than you. And with that come, you know, you have to have a lot of trust. And for me, I think Quez is amazing. So, you know, a lot of the time when we were working on the score, I you know, my notes were basically like, I want it to feel like this, but I want you to
Mm-hmm.
make it feel like this in a Quez way, because I really
Yeah.
believe in how he does things. I'm not a musician. I definitely love music. I'm kind of musical. But I'm not, you know, he's incredible. And so that was really important. And yeah, sometimes like he'd make something and we didn't feel like it was quite right, but that was more about emotion and,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and making it clear to him that like, I want this scene to feel more silly, or I want it to feel sad, or, you know, and just being on the same page with that. But I'd say the process was me just really wanting him to do him, but just making sure that it portrayed, you know, that it conveyed the right emotion.
Is this the first film that he's done?
Yeah, it's the first film he's done. I think he did some stuff for a Netflix show, but I'm not sure. I definitely know it's his first film.
So good, because even like that opening piece of music, which is an amazing piece, and you go, you're kind of like, oh, is it the radio? Do I know it? It's a sort of feels so familiar, and it's got this kind of quality that's like it's a brilliant way of to start a film, because that's the great thing I think that music does, is it kind of does things to you that you don't even realize that it's doing
Mm,
sometimes, and so
yeah,
that kind of makes you go, oh yeah, wicked, this is going to be fun. It's kind of how it makes you feel,
yeah.
that opening piece of music.
I'm glad you say that. It's really weird actually, because that piece of music, whenever it whenever I sit in a screening for the film, which obviously I've done quite a few times, I get
Yeah.
emotional when that plays. And I think it's because I remember saying to Kwes, like, I want this music to sound like you have not seen anything like this before. You haven't seen or heard anything like this before. And I want it to be bonkers, and I want it to be loud, and I want it to be fresh, and I want it to be Kwes, you know?
Mhm.
And he delivered. But it's weird because it's so silly and funny, because I want it to feel funny, but it really makes me emotional because it kind of represents everything I wanted to say about the film, you know, straight away. I mean, that's kind of what you need to do, right, with an opening track.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm glad that it made an impression on you too.
It really did it right. It really kind of it really ushered me into the film and made me feel excited about what was to come in a way.
Oh,
Do you know what I
great.
mean? It's yeah.
Yes, I'm so happy that you delivered on that. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and the rest of the film as well, because it's like that. It's that weird thing you were saying earlier. It's like, it's a simple story, but it is so, it feels so new and so refreshing in a way. And I think that that's down to so many things that you've made choices on. I mean, the cast are phenomenal, working with Kwes on it, but also just the kind of the aesthetic of the film as well, and the kind of color schemes and the choice of like how, even like, to get kind of technical. So I don't really know what I'm talking about when I get to that side of things, but like just kind of like how you've chosen to edit and things like that. Did you have a really clear idea of what this needed to be and what you wanted it to be?
Yeah, I mean, I think that is the thing that, a director, if you don't know what you want, then I think the team are going to be a little bit confused, and the image, the film ends up feeling quite confused. And I
Yeah.
think whether you like it or not, Rye Lane definitely knows what it is. And,
Mm.
I always want to make sure everyone that I work with is singing from the same hymn sheet. But I also want to make sure that everyone I work with is amazing and that I believe in the way that they do things. So the set, with Kwes, like I said, exactly what I said about Kwes, I am obsessed with his work. He's brilliant at what he does. I could never do that, but I know exactly what I want from him. And it goes the same with the cinematography, with the wardrobe, with the production design, with the performances, the tone of the performances. As a director, that is your job, to make sure that all of those things align into this like little explosion of Rye Lane.
Yeah.
uh, and yeah, thank you as well. I'm glad that you really like those decisions, because they're
Yeah.
not, it is quite bonkers. All the wide lenses and the colors and stuff, but for me it's also about it being authentic. Like I always say, I love things feeling authentically elevated. So it's like
Yeah.
it's accidentally looks the way it looks, but actually it comes from a place of truth. Brixton Market does actually look like that. You might see a cowboy walking through Peckham Market,
Yeah. Yeah.
sorry, Rye Lane Market.
Yeah.
That might actually happen in London. Somebody might walk around with a dog in a pram. That happens in London. I'm
Yeah.
just capturing it at that point.
Yeah.
um,
How was it finding your Yaz and Dom? With through David and Vivian and the cast of those particular cast and the supporting cast, because oh my god, I had sore cheeks from laughing watching the film as well. It's just so
oh,
good.
brilliant. That's what we want, sore cheeks. Oh, I mean, it was great. I worked with a brilliant casting director called Carmel Cochran. Her and I we've been mates for a long time, and she knows what I like. We laugh at the same jokes, and we wanted actors that. One thing that I really like is, I don't want people that are just, not just actually, because there are some amazing comedy actors like that I adore, but I
Yeah.
actually for this film wanted actors that um can have funny bones. They get it, they get the tone, they get the world, but actually they're just great performers, sort of technically and instinctively. And I think that was what I was looking for in the cast, and we saw some amazing people that I'd love to meet again. But the people in the film were perfect for those roles, and they added so much to it. And again, I could never act. I found people that can add more to it and can sort of bring them to life in a way that I couldn't have possibly dreamed of. But no, it was a joy finding them. and actually pretty easy, you know. The minute they came in, after a few minutes, it was like, yeah.
Yeah,
Easy.
that's my Dom, that's my Yaz.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
with that brilliant scene where they're on his Spotify or his that playlist, and oh my god, it's the songs that come out is
Tension
absolutely
Doubly. Oh my gosh.
oh sign your name. And but Bette Midler and the Rose.
Yeah.
That's just
Oh my God. But that, I mean, signing out, the thing that I also wanted, I remember saying to the music supervisor, David Fish, I was like, it needs to be, they all need to be bangers. They all need to be tunes that you actually like go, yeah, this is a banger, but embarrassing. I actually had it this morning where like someone went, oh, do you want to put some music on? And the minute you're just like, it is just a bit like, you know, you don't know what people are going to think. I definitely, yeah, it was really important that they were actually quite good tunes.
was there a load that you filmed that were cut?
No, because you have to get permission.
Yeah.
So no, sadly. I
Yeah.
wish I could
Yeah.
give you a funny little nugget on that, but no,
I,
unfortunately not.
I had a real kind of weird like flashback moment as well when Daniel Bedingfield came on, because then I just remembered at one point in my life I had done karaoke to that song.
Had you? Yes. I loved what was it? I gotta get through this.
Yeah,
I think we actually
yeah.
tried that, but it was too like happy. Um, God, Daniel Bedingfield, yes. Bring him back, please.
Last time I saw him on like, did he have accepted some like Brit Award with a head brace on? He didn't been in some like
What?
horrendous bike accident or something, and he had some
Oh God.
weird. I know, but he's fine now. But at the
Okay,
time,
good.
he was going through some kind of recovery from some, I don't know, car accident or something, and he accepted it was some Brit Awards or something, and he was on a video thing and accepted his Brit Award with this kind of crazy like head brace on. But
That is
I'm glad.
very Daniel Bedingfield. Why does that feel really Daniel Bedingfield to do that? I don't know.
Yeah. Where's Daniel Bedingfield? Maybe this, you included him in the film. He'll come out the woodwork at some
I feel
point. That
like
would
he's
be.
definitely in LA, like doing something really bougie right now. Well, wait, not right now, but
Yeah, probably right now. Yeah, yeah,
probably right now. Yeah,
yeah.
exactly.
What's your karaoke song of choice?
Talking Heads, This Must Be the Place.
Wow,
Yeah.
that is super cool.
Yeah, that I mean that song it would also it could be Orange Juice, Rip It Up, but like I think those two
Nice.
tunes, like they're very yeah, I no, This Must Be the Place. It's just such a banger. Like it is just like I mean, yeah. Yeah. I don't know if I can even like if you know that song, I'm sure people will understand why. It's such a beautiful song. Um
Do you know what's really just popped into my head? Do you know what's really really lovely is that this is your first time full length feature filmmaker, and this is so exciting because the film's brilliant. And I don't know if you've seen After Sun, Charlotte Wells.
yeah.
It's her first feature film as well, and both of you have got these beautiful little scenes in them, very different, that have karaoke moments in them as well. And
Yeah,
I just think that it's kind of like after watching both films, I was like, "Where's my nearest karaoke bar?" Because I've got the feels. I need to go out
karaoke's
and
great. Yeah, but the rule is you can't be good. If you're good at karaoke, it doesn't count. It just you can't, it's the most embarrassing thing to get up on a karaoke stage and be good. Like no one wants to hear someone good at singing do karaoke. Like I mean, I'm actually really glad I can't sing, so I can do karaoke.
it's a very good point, right? Very good point.
Right?
What you mentioned Scorsese and Spike Lee earlier on, just in terms of filmmakers, inspired filmmakers, and in terms of filmmakers musically, they're kind of top of their game in terms of both the composers they work with like Spike, Terence Blanchard, and whatnot, and artists as well. And have they been inspired in terms of the way they use music for you as filmmakers, or is there anyone in particular that's been kind of a going up
Ooh,
that's
that is a hard question because I would say, for me, I think there's a few composers that I really think are amazing. I was so inspired when I first saw Utopia, which was scored by oh my gosh, Christabel. Oh, I can't.
Oh yeah.
Tapia de Ver, is that?
Yeah.
I'm going to
Yeah.
embarrass. I really want to get his name right, but and everyone knows him for White Lotus. But I remember hearing Utopia and going, "Whoa, you know, this is I've not really heard a soundtrack like this before." And then also Miranda July did a film called I think it's called Me, You, and Everyone We Know, or You, Me, and Everyone We Know, and that was by oh my gosh, hang on, I'm going to know this, Matthew something.
I'm going to look it up.
Oh gosh, this is a re-record, isn't it?
Yeah, so it's pretty good. Yeah, no, it's fine. We can. Miranda from 2005.
Yes. Does it say who scored it?
Michael Andrews.
Michael Andrews. Yes.
Yeah.
That also, if you
he did the Mad World version for Tears for Fears for Donnie Darko.
Yeah. Those two, I think, really inspired me. But at the same time, they didn't represent, you know, they weren't necessarily the world that I'm trying to build here. But I think the boldness of a lot of the cues in those films, you know, were like worth kind of noting. I'm trying to think. I mean, obviously, I think like original music, I feel Scorsese and Spike Lee nail, but I really like working with composers. And sort of having original music part of the story in a way, but like, you know, there's something about you're building a world, like you're elevating the world if you create something new, and it's fun to do that with a composer that also produces music. You know. So yeah, I'd say those two references are probably. I just thought Utopia, it's worth a listen if you've not heard that soundtrack. Like I actually listened to that just hanging, like walking down the street. I also listened to the Punch Drunk Love soundtrack as well.
That's amazing.
Yeah, that's an amazing soundtrack.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
But that's so interesting because what you and Kwes have done amazingly with the film is the way, you know, when you were talking about it, how you wanted it to sound and it to be him, but to be London, is the way that it so beautifully and easily switches from being diegetic to being the score again. And it doesn't, and so you're the kind of the shift between being in the world and out the world, if that makes sense, is there's no difference. That's what's so brilliant about it, is that the way that it's part of the story, it's there in the room with the characters, and then it's part of the score, or the vice versa. It doesn't always work, and it's so good.
Oh, thank you. That is another, like, it's so nice when somebody like tells you a decision you've made that you think maybe someone won't notice. But yeah, I think it just needs to feel part of the, you know, all films should have a DNA. Like all good films, I feel they have like a DNA, like they're like their own little thing, you know. And I think music has a huge role in that. And it is really hard. Like, by the way, I think it's worth mentioning, like, Kwes and I worked really hard together. Well, Kwes worked really hard, but, you know, we worked really hard to try and make it feel, you know, to make it right and to make it feel like it belonged.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that, I mean, Kwes is an incredibly visual person as well. And like, he looks at colors sometimes and just has an idea. So I think that was something that interested me. You know, we can have a conversation about a sound being funny, and he's beyond, like, he's kind of you know, he's just a creator, he's an artist. And I wouldn't be surprised if he directed a film himself at some point. You know, I think he thinks very visually, and so that collaboration ended, you know, meant that you said what you just said, which is really great, because that was our intention. Woo!
It's also that thing as well that I think it works brilliant, because there's moments where you've got score and there's dialogue going on, and it almost feels like it's its rhymes going over, you know what I mean? There's it's it's got such a beautiful fluidity to it and stuff that it's kind of, I wondered whether you had music that you played on set at all as well for the characters to get a sense of sonically how the film was going to sound to for
No,
those scenes in particular. But
no, that's an interesting question. No, actually, because I always think, like, I think sometimes it's helpful to just have that stuff in my head, because they've got, I guess actors have so much to think about already, and my job is to make sure that that we're on the same page in terms of like who that character is and how they behave. So no, I also think that like walking into the spaces that we created helped them understand the world that I was trying to build. Even in the costume truck trying on some of the outfits, they understood that. But no, they didn't. But then the interesting thing is you think about someone like Vivian, who plays Yaz. When we met, I was like, I think we knew some of the same people, and her music, she's a musician, and she used to go to gigs. She's younger than us, obviously, but I think she went to gigs that like Kwes played. And
wow.
she's always been, and same with David, like we all kind of have, I guess, so if you work together as creatives, you're naturally gonna what's the word? Come together? What's the word?
It's like osmosis, like creative osmosis in a way.
Yeah,
It's kind of like,
you're just aligned. And weirdly you end up going, oh, we like the same band, or that kind of thing happens. I think when you work together and you like the same, you end up liking the same things. We were all drawn to the script, so that means we might all be drawn to a little band that we didn't think anybody else knew. It's that kind of beauty of collaborating and being creative.
I could chat to you for ages about it. I just think it's you've made a brilliant film, and I'm so excited to see people's reaction to it as well. And I'm so excited to see what's next from you as well.
Thank you.
Yeah. Raine, thank you so much for your time. It's a real treat to get to chat to you about it. Congratulations on Rye Lane.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Have a great day. Thanks.
You too.
Bye.
Thanks.